Hi, everybody.
Mayor, we're ready to start as soon as you're ready to start. We are already live on the channel as well.
You're muted, Mayor.
Yes, good afternoon. Okay. It's 2:01. Okay. We are going to start. Good afternoon, everyone, and it's October 27, 2020. It's exactly 2:02 p.m. This is our regular council meeting, and I don't know if it's going to be our last virtual one until the governor take another executive order or the city attorney come up with another way of doing business. It's my way to say good afternoon to everyone. The meeting is called to order, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Bieneman?
Yeah.
Councilwoman Estimate Irvin?
Present.
Vice Mayor Disselman? Councilwoman Keys? Here. Councilman Galvin?
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum to proceed.
Thank you very much. And we are happy today to have with us Pastor Geraldine B. And we take her from the Way of Holiness Outreach Ministries, Inc. And we have another special guest. It's Major Patricia Fischel. And we've been working for the police department for the past 25 years. And I think it will be last month with the city of North Miami, Major Fischel. And thank you for being an essential part of the North Miami Police Department.
Thank you.
You are a true embodiment and hard work and dedication. For the past 25 years, you have committed to keeping members of our community safe and secure. We greatly appreciate your labor. And on behalf of the city of North Miami, mayor and council or city administration, and residents of the great city of North Miami, we wish you good health and continued success as you start the next chapter of your life. Congratulations on your retirement. Job well done. Many blessings to you and to your family. And you will be missed at the city of North Miami Police Department and in our community. And I hope you get the key to the city before you leave, so you can open all the doors and during your lifetime with the city of North Miami. And congratulations. And now we're going to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance with Major Patricia Fischel.
Please, everybody face your flag. Hand over your right heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, and for liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. And now we're going to have invocation with Pastor Geraldine and for invocation.
Gracious Lord, we thank you that we can beseech you on behalf of our city. We pray for our council that they will seek your wisdom in resolving all issues. We ask for your protection of the rights we share as a city. Please grant this great city the stamina to continue in your path of righteousness. Let your purposes for this awesome city be fulfilled. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Pastor Whitaker, from the Way of Holiness Outreach Ministries, Inc. And now I think we have a special presentation about COVID-19, updated by Commander Angelo Branson and hurricane preparedness. Commander Branson.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, residents attending the meeting virtually. I'm Commander Angelo Brinson, Emergency Manager for the City of North Miami. Brief update on COVID-19 as far as the numbers that we are facing. As of yesterday, these numbers are all effective yesterday. The state of Florida has a total of 786,000 cases. Miami-Dade County has a total of 182,000 cases. And as of yesterday, the city of North Miami had 1,420 cases, with 2 new cases since Sunday. So as a reminder, let us all continue to do everything we can to stop the spread of COVID-19. As we are seeing from the media, cases are spiking locally in Florida, as well as around the country and around the world. So as we go into flu season, let's continue to do all that we can as individuals to protect ourselves. As a reminder, masks are mandatory in the city of North Miami, whether you're indoors or outdoors, if social distancing is not possible outdoors. And also another reminder, the most effective methods that we have to prevent the spread of COVID-19 are wearing a mask or facial covering, social distancing, washing your hands frequently, and sanitizing high-touch areas daily. As far as our hurricane season, Tropical Storm Zeta has formed. It's expected to become a hurricane shortly. It is just passing the Yucatan Peninsula into the Gulf of Mexico, and it is expected to impact the Gulf Coast on maybe Thursday, as early as Thursday, and maybe even Wednesday evening. So our hearts and prayers go out to those on the Gulf Coast who are preparing for that hurricane to make landfall. But at this time, there's no expected impact on South Florida. That's my report. Are there any questions on the COVID or hurricane preparedness?
Thank you very much, Commander Benson. If there is no question, let's move forward with the agenda. Order of business, Madam City Manager, do you have any addition, deletion, or deferral to the agenda?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. City Attorney, is the agenda set?
Yes, Mayor, the agenda is set. You may proceed.
Thank you very much. And consent agenda, Madam Clerk.
Unless a member of the City Council wishes to remove a specific item from the portion of the agenda, tabs A through C constitute the consent agenda. These resolutions and items are self-explanatory and are not expected to require additional review or discussion. These items will be recorded as individually numbered resolutions adopted unanimously by the following motion: that the consent agenda comprised of tabs A through C be adopted.
Thank you very much. Can I hear a motion on the consent?
So moved.
Can I record a note? Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve the consent agenda. The motion was seconded by Councilwoman Estimate Irvin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries with a 4-0 vote.
Tab D.
Tab D, proposed resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, establishing a pre-qualified list of contractors to perform home repair services for the City of North Miami Residential Rehabilitation Construction Program.
Do we have a presentation by
contained in request for qualifications number 30-19-20, further authorizing the city manager and city attorney to negotiate and execute agreements for the provision of stated services with the selected firms, providing for an effective date and all other purposes. Tab D.
At this time, we would like to recognize Alberto Estrada for purchasing. Alberto Estrada.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. For the record, Alberto Estrada, Purchasing Director. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council members. The item that you have before you under tab D represents the results of the Evaluation Committee's recommended list of contractors to participate in the city's housing renovation and rehabilitation program in response to solicitation title RFQ number 391920. As reflected in the council report, this solicitation was issued by the purchasing department, seeking proposals from qualified contractors with the intent of creating a pool of pre-qualified contractors to participate in the city's residential rehabilitation program. The primary goal of this program is to provide a safe and suitable living environment for eligible residents by carrying out the necessary repairs and rehabilitation of owner-occupied housing within the city of North Miami. In response to the solicitation, the city received 20 proposals. 2 of those proposals were deemed to be non-responsive, and the remaining 18 proposals were forwarded to the Evaluation Committee for their review and evaluation. Based on the committee's evaluation of each applicant's experience and qualifications, their recommendation is that all 18 firms be approved to be included in the pool of available contractors for the city's rehabilitation program. The final ranking for each of the firms is reflected on the tabulation summary, which follows immediately after the proposed resolution of the agenda report. The recommended list will be good for an initial 3-year term with 2 additional 1-year options to renew. The maximum amount to be issued for any one project shall not exceed $60,000 per project. The funding sources for these projects are listed on the second page of your council report, and they are as follows. One of the sources is the North Miami CRA. The second source is the Community Development Block Grant Program, otherwise known as CDBG. And the last source would be from the Home Single Family Rehabilitation Program, which is funded through HUD. Here with me in support of this item are the director and assistant directors of the city's Housing and Social Services Department, in the event that you have any particular questions regarding the program itself. This concludes my presentation of the item, and if there's any questions, I'll be glad to take them.
We're unable to hear you, Mayor.
Thank you, Baba. God bless you. Okay.
Hello? Yes, good. You have a question?
No, we were unable to hear you.
Oh, okay, sorry. Are you done?
Yeah, yes, I am, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. And do we have, let's open it to the public before we move forward. Public hearing is open on tab D. Public hearing on tab D. Madam Clerk? Okay.
Mayor, they're having technical difficulties in the manager's conference room, but there is no hands raised for tab D at this moment.
We didn't receive any previous email or letters about the item?
1 second, Mayor. Mayor, we're waiting for the city manager and the clerk to come back online. So if you can give us a couple minutes.
Yeah, but do at the same time, okay. But before we can discuss that on the dais, I was checking to making sure the city manager, the city clerk didn't receive any previous email or letters in regards to tab D before we move forward and wait for them.
Mr. Mayor, I suggest we all just start moving our lips silently so the people watching on TV
Okay,
think that.
yeah, and okay, let's move it and to the dais. When the city clerk come, we always can open back public comment if there is any. But at the same time,
Arrived.
yes, thank you, Madam Clerk. Did you receive any email or letters in regards to tab D for public hearing?
I do not have any previously submitted comments for tab D. Give me 1 second. Somebody may be trying to speak.
Okay.
For the record, Vice Mayor Desame, what time did you enter the meeting? Was it just now at 2:16? 2:15? I see your lips moving. Okay. Is your audio not working? Are you on mute?
Vice Mayor.
I'm sorry, I think I'm good now. I'm sorry.
So I have you present as of 2:16?
That's fine, yes.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
No comment?
Okay, is the item open to public hearing now?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to review the list of attendees to see if we have any hands raised on this item.
You don't have none?
Going through the list, Mayor.
Okay.
Okay, it does not appear that we have any hands raised on this item, and as I said before, I do not have any previously submitted comments on this particular item.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. We are at tab D. And council members, do you have any questions or comments about tab D?
I have a question.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Council.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Alberto, you said that this was a 3-year contract renewable for how long?
The contract is renewable for 2 additional 1-year terms. So it would be potentially a total of 5 years.
Okay. Okay, and who are the two contractors that were rejected?
The 2 contractors that were deemed non-responsive is a company by the name of Ficon Corp. That's spelled Fikon Corp. And the other one is HRT Construction Group, LLC.
Okay.
That's it. If there is no other questions, can I have a motion to approve tab D?
So move.
So move. Second.
I have a motion made by Vice Mayor Desome to approve the item in tab D. The motion was seconded by Councilman Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries with a 5-0 vote. Tab E, proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, authorizing the city manager to issue purchase orders to Loyce North America of Alabama LLC for a term of 3 years in an aggregate amount not to exceed $325,000 on an annual basis for the purchase, delivery, and discharge of quicklime for the Winston Water Treatment Plant, utilizing the cooperative purchasing provision pursuant to section 7-169 of the city code, providing for an effective date and all other purposes. Tab E.
Thank you very much.
Once again, for the record, Mr. Mayor, council members, our purchasing director. The item that you have before you under tab E represents staff's request for your authority to issue purchase orders to the company by the name of Loyce North America of Alabama LLC for the purchase and delivery of quicklime for the city's Winston Water Treatment Plant. This purchase is based on a cooperative contract that was issued by the city of Tamarack for an initial term of 3 years and a not to exceed amount of $325,000 per year. This cooperative contract was issued through the Southeast Florida Governmental Purchasing Cooperative Group. It's an affiliate of the National Institute of Governmental Purchasing, and it's a regional organization that consists of approximately 75 public agencies, including the city of North Miami, and it provides cost savings to member entities by utilizing the buying power that combines volume requirements for frequently purchased items such as quicklime. Quicklime is an essential ingredient for the ongoing operation of the city's water treatment plant to ensure the provision of potable water to all city consumers. So in order to ensure the continued supply and availability of quicklime, we are recommending and request your authority for the issuance of this contract to Loyce. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to take them.
Thank you very much. Let's open it to the public. Public hearing is open on tab E.
As a reminder, we ask that you raise your hand to speak on any items. You cannot leave your hand raised throughout the entire meeting. You will need to state your name and full address for the record. And in addition to that, if you're participating via phone, you'll have to press *9 to raise your hand, and from there, I'll unmute you.
Public hearing is open on tab E. No. Public hearing is now closed on tab E. Council members, do you have any questions for tab E? Or can I hear a motion to approve it?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve the item in tab E. The motion was seconded by Vice Mayor Desame. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with a 5-0 vote.
Thank you.
Tab F.
Tab F, proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, authorizing the city manager to execute a professional services agreement in substantially the attached form between the city of North Miami and Risk Management Associates, Inc., doing business as Public Risk Insurance Advisors, to provide the city with police professional liability insurance coverage at a cost not to exceed $284,438, providing for an effective date and all other purposes. Tab F.
Tab F is our renewal for our police professional liability insurance. If you have any questions, Karen Burke can take any questions.
Thank you very much. Do you have any questions on the dais before we open it to the public? I see none. Let me check can you check if public hearing is open on tab F?
As a reminder, please raise your hand if you'd like to speak on this item or press *9 if you are participating by phone.
I see none. Can I hear a motion to approve tab F?
Move.
Second.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve the item at tab F. The motion was seconded by Councilwoman Keys. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with a 5-0 vote.
Thank you very much. Tab G.
Tab G, proposed second reading ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, providing for a text amendment to chapter 29 of the city of North Miami Code of Ordinances by amending Article 5, Division 21, entitled Art in Public and Private Places, specifically at section 5-2101F, entitled General, to modify the locational limits for murals, providing for repeal, conflict, severability, correction of scrivener's errors, codification, and for an effective date. Tab G.
Thank you very much.
Tab G for the council is the extension of the limits for the murals. It's going to go all the way to 143rd Street on West 60. If you have any questions, Tanya Wilson will answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Let's open it to the public. Public hearing is open in tab G.
If you wish to speak on this item, please raise your hand or press *9 if you are participating by phone.
Okay, no public comment, and public hearing is now closed. Council members, if there is no question, can I hear a motion to approve the item? Tab G.
Motion to approve.
Move. Second.
Madam Clerk.
I have a motion made by Councilwoman Estimé Urban to approve the item at tab G. The motion was seconded by Councilman Galvin. Vice Mayor Desamay, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilwoman Estimé Urban, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilman Galvin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mayor Bieneme, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilwoman Keys, how do you vote? Councilwoman Keys, how do you vote? Councilwoman Keys, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe your audio is delayed. Yes, we can hear you. The motion carries with a 5-0 vote.
Thank you very much. Tab H.
Tab H, proposed quasi-judicial resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, approving an application for a conditional use permit in substantially the attached form for a proposed mixed-use development, including a 3-story public charter school, community medical clinic, and 24-unit multifamily residential apartment building on the 7.6-acre real property located at 13855 Northwest 17th Avenue, and specifically identified with Miami-Dade County's folio number 06-2123-000-0060 in accordance with Article 3, Division 4, Sections 3-402 through 3-407, and Article 4, Division 3, Section 4-302 of the City of North Miami Code of Ordinances, Chapter 29, entitled Land Development Regulations, providing for an effective date and all other purposes. Tab H.
I'd like to recommend Director Tanya Wilson for a presentation.
Cutter, the PowerPoint, please. Thank you. For the record, Tanya Wilson, Planning Director of Community Planning and Development. This is a request for conditional use permit approval. I'll walk you through the application request and then share some of the conditions that are being recommended as a part of this item. The project itself is located at 13855 Northwest 17th Avenue, and that's on the west side of the city. It's surrounded by unincorporated Miami-Dade County in an area that has been identified as the Biscayne Gardens MAC.
The total size of the parcel is 7.6 acres in size. It's currently a vacant parcel with a derelict abandoned church on the site. For all intents and purposes, the site itself has been vacant for more than 30 years based on our records research. So the site is zoned PD3, requires mixed use in the designation. It also allows for a density of 45 dwelling units per acre, with a maximum height of 110 feet. Because it is within the PD district, a conditional use permit approval will be required. The project itself has been reviewed by the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval of the item with a condition that consideration be given about the buffering on Northwest 15th Avenue on the eastern side of the parcel. Next slide, please. So this provides an overview of what's being requested by the applicant. It is a mixed-use project, as I mentioned, because it is PD3. The city's code requires that it has at least 3 uses, one of which must be residential. So it's proposed as a 3-story structure with a K through 12 public charter school that will serve over 1,432 students. It is incorporating a 24-unit residential component that's dedicated for teachers' housing. So they want to include a workforce component. We do know that that's a challenge within the region. So that will be the residential portion that's been added in. And then the third portion is they're recommending a community clinic, and that will be open to the public. That will be a phased-in development in terms of the 3 portions that will be incorporated into the site. The project itself is contemplated as a green development. So they'll be pursuing a LEED certification to ensure that the building is energy efficient and water efficient. And it will have all Florida required landscaping as required by our code. Next slide, please. So in looking at the proposal, some important components to mention is that the ingress and egress for the site will only be off Northwest 17th Avenue. That's important in terms of the discussions of how cars and pedestrians will be allowed to enter and leave the site. So that will solely be on Northwest 17th Avenue. There will be no interaction for ingress and egress on the east side of the property that abuts the residential neighborhood. Also, in terms of what's being incorporated, there will be other activities that will be encouraged on the site. Because this is a green school, you'll see components of a community garden, an emphasis on environmental conservation and awareness. There's also a soccer field and a tot lot that's being anticipated as a part of the activation of the site. In looking at the impact to the city, we do have an economic impact assessment that was done. It's anticipated to generate over 138 full-time jobs once this facility has been established. And in the way of fiscal impact, we're looking at over $900,000 in permit and impact fees that will be coming to the city of North Miami. Next slide, please. So based on a staff review, there's several conditions that the applicant must meet prior to construction. That includes the standard requirements, regarding police and safety, fire, the county agencies specifically, because we know that there are environmental issues with the soil on the site. There's been an environmental assessment, and that will require mediation and cleanup. So the applicant has already began conversations with Durham. That would need to be satisfied prior to pulling of the building permits for construction. There's also a need for the standard requirements where LEED is concerned that they're providing evidence of certification from USGBC to make sure that the project itself has been wholly reviewed and certified by that agency. Miami-Dade School Board as well, there's requirement for proof of satisfaction for a School of Hope. It's not just a charter school, but the School of Hope has a special designation through the Florida statute. So they'll have to finalize that with the Miami-Dade School Board as well to have a final executed agreement with the school board. Next slide, please. in looking at some of the community engagement has taken place, I know they've had conversations with the council, with the mayor. Specifically, there's a request for a community meeting. We have evidence that the applicant has done that. They've had a virtual meeting on October 15th to meet with the county residents that surround that parcel. I mentioned before that the parcel is surrounded by unincorporated Miami-Dade County, but the applicant has held that meeting and has had conversations to hear the feedback and the concerns of the residents. Again, the primary one that we're hearing is their concerns about traffic, their concerns about having a school use on the neighboring site, and I'm sure you'll hear from some of those county residents once it's open forum to speak from the public. So in terms of the next steps in the process, next slide, please. In terms of the next steps, you will see this project again if approved. If the conditional use permit is approved, as the council knows, they're required to submit a site plan. So the site plan will come before you in the form of a resolution before they're able to obtain full approval and move forward then to the next stage for building permits. That concludes staff's presentation. I know the architect is also online and is ready for a presentation from the applicants at this time. Ricardo, if you can put in the name, time as well.
Hi.
If you wish to speak on this item, I will first need to swear you in. So can everyone who plans to speak on this item please raise their hands at this time so that I could swear you in all at once? I will say one time and you will respond, I do. So please, once again, if you wish to speak on this item, raise your hand at this time so that I can call on you to swear in. And I'll say it one more time because I know some of you are texting the chat to see if you can speak. So please raise your hand at this time if you wish to speak on this item. If you wish to speak on this item and you're participating by phone, please press *9 at this time. So once again, if you're participating by phone and you wish to speak on tab H, please raise your hand at this time. Okay. I solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Carter McDowell?
I do.
Taylor Buck?
I do.
Todd Lucas? Todd Lucas? Todd Lucas? Monica Press?
I do.
Jose Pacheco?
I do. Thank you.
Diane Johnson? Deanne Johnson?
I do.
George Balaban?
I do.
Latoya Carter?
I do.
Amika McMillan,
I do.
Sherelle Harden, Sherelle Harden,
I do.
give me 1 second, there's somebody else with hand raising trouble. If you don't keep your hand raised, I won't be able to call on you again because I won't know that your hand was raised and removed. Once again, at this time, if you can, please, if you would wish to speak on this item at tab H, please raise your hand so that we may swear you in at this time. Lola Capers, can you please raise your hand?
Yes.
Okay, so please press on the hand button since you would like to speak on this item.
I did. It says raise hand and I pressed it.
Okay, now you pressed it. So just leave it there and don't remove it for now.
Okay.
So do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Omar Kanan,
I do.
Todd Lucas, Todd Lucas, all right, those are the only hands that I have raised at this time.
Thank you very much. And what we're going to do, we're going to take the calls first because...
I believe that Carter McDowell was about to make a presentation, Mayor.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, thank you very much.
Good afternoon. We have a PowerPoint. Thank you very much. I note that Todd Lucas is part of our team. He must be having connection difficulties. I hope he'll join us and we can swear him in as we get to his part. Again, my name is Carter McDowell with Bills and Thunberg, 1450 Brickell Avenue, representing the applicant, Kipp and Summit Development, the developer for the project. As you've heard from your staff, we've been through Planning Commission. We had a unanimous recommendation from the Planning Commission. They asked for 2 additional conditions, one relating to a buffer on the east side. At the time, a robust buffer, and also that we remove the temporary structures within 120 days after we get CO, which we agreed to at that time. We have, as you heard, at the request of the city, held a community forum. We mailed out notice to all of the property owners that are on the property owner list associated with the application and anybody else who we could identify who was potentially interested from having submitted comment. And we held that forum, which lasted just under 2 hours back last week. In that forum, I think it's fair to say we heard 3 sets of differing views. There was a group, and I'm sure you will hear from them, who said, we really don't want you at all. This has been vacant for 30 years. We like it that way. And we really don't need a school. And we would like for you to go away and not be on this property. You know, every neighbor is entitled to their opinion. Not much we can do to respond to that other than to say we believe that the proposed Kipp school is a remarkable asset to the community. And will be a positive addition. We got a lot of feedback from the neighbors, some of whom also spoke at the Planning Commission, that they would like to see a wall on the eastern side of the project. We have agreed to do that. You will see it in their presentation. George Balabam will go through that. We have agreed that there will be a wall along the eastern boundary. Just to reiterate what Tanya said, there is no vehicular access and no pedestrian access to any part of this property other than 17th Avenue. So all of the pedestrian and vehicular access comes off 17th Avenue. There is also a security barrier between the residential and the school itself. The school is completely secured on all sides with active security during school hours. Next slide, please. So you've heard a little, well, these are what we're going to talk about. Next slide, please. So as you heard from Tanya and as you saw, the project site is within the city of North Miami, but surrounded by unincorporated Dade County on 3 sides and the city of Opa-locka on the west side across 17th Avenue. Obviously, the very large park facility that the city owns in the Dante Cell Park is located to the immediate south. There's a church on our southern boundary, and we do have single-family residential to the east and a lake to the north. We do not abut the lake. There is a different ownership that abuts the lake, so we don't have access to it and don't want access to it. It will be fenced off and secured. And as you heard from Tanya, ooh, sounds like there's feedback. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. You heard that it's zone P3 allows 110-foot buildings. We're obviously proposing a 3-story school. The minimum setback from the school structure to the single-family houses to our east is almost exactly 300 feet from their property to the closest point of the building of the school or any building on the site. So it's a football field. Our recreation facilities are intentionally located adjoining the residential neighborhood to the east so that we provide a large buffer for them. Next slide, please. On the site, there will be the School of Hope, which you'll hear more about. Approximately 24 apartment units in the residential building located in the northwest corner, which is the only place where we actually abut a single-family home. The apartment complex will abut the single-family home, not the school. We will have a small, very small community clinic. That's part of the school, in front of the school building. It's actually part of the same structure. It is only 1,400 square feet. It is aimed primarily as a resource for the students and their families. It will be open to members of the public if they should wish to use it, but only during school hours. It will be closed at non-school hours. There will be no weekend hours in the operation of the clinic. It is truly intended to be primarily a resource to our students and their families, as they typically have very limited access to good health care. And by providing it on site, we help our students and the community stay safe at all times. We are including a community garden, and there are two pieces to the community garden. One is for the school itself, and that will not be accessible to the public, but there will be a portion of the community garden that will be operated that will allow those who might wish to have their own garden as part of the community garden to have that available to them. That will be administered through the school also. And it is located directly along 17th Avenue. It will be fenced and controlled, as all community gardens are, but it will be a community asset in addition to an asset for the school. And then there are some basketball courts and other play areas which will be described. Next slide, please. As you heard, this is what is referred to as a School of Hope. It was a entity that's created by statute, and in order to become a School of Hope operator, you have to meet very stringent tests and success rates as part of your educational approach. There are only 4 that have been designated by the state of Florida to operate the School of Hope. They are in fact One of them is Kipp in New Jersey, which is the related partner to Kipp Miami, which will operate this school. And they do a remarkable thing. It is required to be a not-for-profit, which it is. Although I would note, for the record, that the apartment building, which we again are building with the idea primarily of providing affordable housing for our teachers. Teachers obviously have a hard time finding good quality, affordable housing. And this will be primarily aimed at them, although open to anyone who may qualify. One thing to acknowledge, there will be very thorough background checks. There was a concern with having raised by the community of having residential adjoining an elementary and a K through 12 school. They will be subject to full background checks, as any tenant would be. So we will be sure of who our tenants are and that they are safe to be near our students. There is a security divider within the property. They won't have direct access to the school itself. They'll have to come through the gate as everybody else will. With that, I'd like to turn it over to a speaker to talk to you about the Kipp educational program. I believe and Taylor Buck was one of our principals, is going to be speaking to you about the Kipp program. It's a remarkable program and a real asset to the community. It will be available to anyone who would choose to go to the school. It is tuition free, as you will hear. It's not limited to North Miami, and we are certainly not suggesting that the North Miami schools are underperforming or in any way not great schools. They are. But this is an additional resource, much like a parochial school would be an additional resource or another school to anyone who in the community who would like to attend it. And with that, let me turn it over. I will note for the record that we did send you, and I hope you saw it, a little bit larger email about the Kipp School program. We covered the city clerk on it, and we sent it to each of you. We also included a record of this hearing as it is a public record. And I would also note from a disclosure standpoint that we did meet with each of the council members and tried to answer your questions in advance. And we will come back to those questions as part of the presentation.
Carter, if I could interrupt, can you hear me? This is Todd Lucas.
I can, Todd. Would you, Madam Clerk, could you swear in Mr. Lucas? He was having difficulty connecting before.
Yeah, I apologize. Staff called me and gave me an audio number to call in on because for some reason my microphone is not working.
And maybe, Todd, since you're going to present a little later, the clerk could swear you in right before you speak.
Okay.
That'd be fine.
Mr. Taylor?
Lucas? Yes. Hi, if you could go to the next slide. I don't know if you can see me, but I'm waving and smiling. My name is Taylor Buck, and I have the honor and privilege of serving as one of the middle school principals for Kipp School of Hope. And Kipp stands for Knowledge is Power program. I made the choice to relocate and work for Kipp because it is a nonprofit organization that is committed to the development of the whole child. We are a part of a national network of schools that has a proven track record for academics. But we don't just do academics, we also are sure to support our students with character development and really have an emphasis on social and emotional learning. As mentioned, we're a school of choice. And so 3 years ago, we opened. We currently have 1 elementary school and 2 middle schools. We currently serve a number of families that live in this area, and we're not a school community that tests students to get into our schools. If families apply and we have a seat available, their child will be accepted. We want to ensure to give a school option to our families in their own backyard. And so here is kind of the Kipp method. We offer a slightly longer school day, and the purpose of this is to really give our students support with reading, reading, and with math without cutting things that we all know that kids need, right? Dance, physical education, and even robotics. And so we're also sure to build a partnership with our families. We make sure to communicate with our families all the time. They even have access to my cell phone number because we believe in order to provide children with the best education, we have to be in partnership with the families that we serve. And so one example of how hard we work for our families and for our communities is when COVID rocked our world. Because it did. We made sure to step up to the plate. We've, to this date, provided 100,000 meals to our families, and we provided 100% of technology to our students. And so that's just a little bit about our Knowledge is Power program. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
I believe Mr. Balaban is going to talk to you about the site plan and the landscaping and buffer.
Good afternoon. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, next slide, please.
Excellent.
Next slide.
Okay, perfect. So this is an overall aerial of the site vicinity. Kind of what Tanya and Carter mentioned. The purpose of this basically is to show that all the access points within the site are along Northwest 17th Avenue. No access points are proposed along any other street. So there would be no reason for anyone to use any side streets or any of the adjacent streets abutting this property, as there's no access points and it wouldn't make any sense to really go through those streets. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is our colored site plan where I want to talk about some of the access points. The primary access point for the school will be on the southernmost driveway along Northwest 17th Avenue. This is where our 2,200 linear feet of car storage will be stacked on site, which basically equates to about 118 cars on the site. For buses, there's about 1,700 linear feet of storage, which is over 42 buses stacked on the site. Then moving on to the center driveway, the center driveway will primarily be used for the exiting of the school after you've looped around the entire site. This is, however, an ingress point of the center driveway as well that will be primarily used for the clinic only. Then the northern access point on this property will be used for the 24 apartment units only. It's exclusive, it's separated out by fencing and everything else from the school itself. Just some of the highlights I'd like to also mention is site plan has a ton of wonderful items to it, in my opinion. The school has a beautiful soccer field, school field, basketball court, as you can see, a play area, school community garden, as Carter mentioned earlier, one for the public and one for the school. In addition, on the apartment side, there's that community garden that essentially is open to the public but fenced off as well. Next slide, please. So this is our color landscape plan, which shows a mixture of trees that we're putting in throughout the entire property. As you can see, it's pretty hefty landscaping. We took note of what the residents said, and we incorporated large trees within the perimeter. So along 17th Avenue, there's luscious landscaping, which are mixed with crepe myrtles and sable palms. On the southern property line, we have a majority of silk buttonwoods. The eastern and northern property lines include gumbo limo trees, along with the fence that later on, Todd will show you a detail of what it looks like and a pretty rendering of that. So with that, just again, to reiterate the concern with the residents along the east side, we incorporated a wall along with gumbo limos on one side and additional trees on the other side as well. So with that, I'd like to pass it off to Todd.
Madam Clerk, could you swear in Mr. Lucas, please?
Madam Clerk?
She's coming.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Mr. Lucas, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Say I do.
I do.
All right, proceed.
Thank you. My name is Todd Lucas with Summit Construction Management Group. We're at 421 South Summerlin Avenue in Orlando, Florida, 32801. What I just wanted to touch on very briefly, so Summit Construction is, we've developed and built over 35 charter schools now within the state of Florida. We've worked with Kipp schools before in partnership to develop and build their schools and their communities that they come into. And I just wanted to real quickly go through some of the amenities that we're providing in addition to the school. I think that it's already been mentioned that there's an apartment facility that we're looking at putting in place. It would be a mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms available to the teachers in the community. A community clinic that will be open for support of the students' families, and the immediate community. A community garden. There is a garden that's part of the school for part of Kipp's program, but there's also the community garden that we're locating right in front of the apartments, which I'll show you shortly. And then we have the basketball court and play area that are also open for the residents of the apartments to utilize, as well as the surrounding community if they so choose to do so. Next page, please. So I think you've already seen this in the initial presentation by staff, but this is really an overview of the building, the proposed building for the school, which is closest to you, the soccer field and the school small play area on the right side, and then to the north of that, at the up toward the lake, is the basketball court and public sort of little play area, and then to the west of that is where the apartments are located, and then the community garden. Next slide, please. This is just showing you sort of an angle from the main road and the first entrance into the property. You can see on the bottom left, a single-story building. There's a small community clinic. Excuse me, that's located there at the front of the school. That clinic has separate entrance and parking, and is secured from the rest of the property. So if somebody from the community could come onto the property to go to the clinic, they can't access the rest of the facility to keep the children separate from the people coming in. Next slide, please. This is showing you more on the left, facing the school, but on the left side, you can obviously see the clinic, and to the left, you can see the fencing and gates that will be open during pickup and drop off, and then shut during the school hours. Next slide, please. The neighborhood, as we've spoken to the community directly adjacent to the property, has expressed a wish to have some sort of an opaque barrier. What we are providing is that there's a number of trees, I think, as you've already seen within the property. We're proposing to provide a 6-foot-high opaque wall that would help to provide that buffering, but we're also looking to plant a quick-growing hedge on the neighborhood side to help provide some greenery and grow up in front of that wall, as well as the tall trees for shade. And this is just sort of showing a cross-section of what that would look like along that property line, but on the east side of the soccer field at the property line, and separating the soccer fields from the neighborhood community. Next slide, please. This is looking from the back of the property. You can see the trees that are planted on the inside of the opaque wall. Just a representation of the wall, and then the landscaping that would be on the front of it. Obviously, you really can't see much of what's behind that wall on the campus other than the school from a distance. I can't remember the exact number, but there's, I think, to the first house or first backyard between that and the school is over 500 feet or 500 yards, but it's quite a substantial gap before you get to any building, the soccer field, and then we're hoping that opaque wall will satisfy some of the requirements or questions and concerns that the neighborhood community had. Next slide, please. This is just another view of that. I think we can go ahead and move past that. So this is the proposed apartment facility. Obviously, colors and concept can be changed and will be vetted out as we go through the permitting and approval process. We wanted to provide some sort of a representation of the quality and the level of facility we're looking at providing for the future residents on site. Next slide. So this is off the main road, looking back toward the end of the apartments, and you can see the community garden location. This is not for the school's use. This is for the community to utilize how they'd like to. As we spoke to, I believe, the council member and staff, they had all expressed that this would be kind of a nice amenity to have. Originally, we had one toward the back in the middle of the site. Decided to separate it out, so this is readily accessible from the main drive road. It's obviously fenced and secured with gate access, but would be another amenity for the surrounding population. Next slide. And then the last thing that I would like to sort of address is that I know there have been some concerns through conversations with council members and staff about the site conditions and past concerns with potential environmental impacts at the site. We're fully committed to take care of any environmental issues that may be on this location. Obviously, we have our children that are going to be on this property as well as other residents, and that's very important that their safety is number one, and that's not just safety and security in the traditional sense, but from contaminants or other things. We have done a phase 1 and a phase 2 and a supplemental phase 2 environmental site assessment, and then a follow-up soils and groundwater analysis and testing was conducted on the property. At this point, we've found one area in the northwestern corner that had a very minor level of arsenic. When I say minor, it exceeded the level, but it was very minor and can be abated. The remainder of the site, I think it's important to understand at this point, doesn't have environmental contaminants in the sense that we traditionally think of. It's construction debris that's buried across the property and fairly deep in some areas that we would be removing. That debris is a contaminant in that we can't put buildings on top of it, but not in that your traditional sense where you think of arsenic or oils or things that are unsafe for anybody to be around. There's a lot of tires, concrete slab, glass and bottles and things that have been found in the soils. The full scope of that work has not been defined yet because obviously we've already got costs, but obviously that's an extensive endeavor, one that we're willing to undertake, but we needed to understand if we need to see and make sure that we could be approved through your board for the use on the property before expending the additional dollars to go forward and define the plan to take care of the conditions on site. We're fully aware that there are not only local jurisdictional requirements for us to go out and meet certain thresholds, but there's also the DERM that we'd be submitting to and going through. And we have several different groups that are experts in this area that we've got on board and are providing us with the direction and the reporting and communication as needed. I think with that, I think that's the end of the presentation, and we'd be available for any questions you may have.
Mr. Mayor, this is Carter McDowell again. I'd like to reserve some time for rebuttal. I'm sure there will be neighbors that do want to speak, and I'd like to have some rebuttal time at the end just to close it up. But otherwise, we are finished and available for questions.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And now, Madam Clerk, we're going to open public hearing on the item.
Okay, so I'm going to call on people, starting with Lola Capers.
Good afternoon. My name is Lola Capers.
State your full name and address for the record. You have 2 minutes.
Good afternoon. My name is Lola Capers. I live at 13920 Northwest 14th Avenue, Miami, Florida 33167. Mr. Carter, you and your team, it just behooves me for you to keep saying that the traffic is going to stay on 17th Avenue. Well, whoever did your case study, they gave you the wrong information. You have Opelika that's building 70 new units. So that means each household will have 2 cars, which is 140 cars, plus your schools. They're going to migrate and come down 14th Avenue. You have homes on 17th Avenue. If they can't get in, they're going to go around, they're going to cut through 14th, or they're going to go to 7th Avenue and come up 146 down to 17th Avenue. I have been living here 27 years. I know the routine. Number 1. Number 2, your water and sewer. I look at your plan, and you say you're doing water and sewer through Opelika, sir?
Yes, it's a combination of Opelika and North Miami.
Okay. Opelika cannot even support. Opelika can't even support their own water and sewer. They have sewer backup in people's yards. So that right there is obsolete. If you're going to do it, it needs to be in North Miami. That's number 2. Number 3, I asked you on the at the meeting, I knew that was a checkoff list. I told you that you met with us 1 week before you had to come in front of North Miami. And the first thing you said is, we did our requirements. We met with the community. No, you did not meet with the community. You need to come to the table with a group of us and really negotiate. We don't mind you having a school there, but you need to negotiate. Not use us as a checkoff list. I told you about the checkoff list. We're not going anywhere. And yes, we don't care if you don't never build nothing. I've been here 27 years. And the wooded area looks good to me. Stop threatening us about the 10-story building. I'd rather have a 10-story high-end condo or
What up, Anakin?
Would you like to, are you extending time?
No, it's 2 minutes. It's 2 minutes. Can we remind them? And it's 2 minutes, please. 2 minutes and no. Yes.
Deanne Johnson or Diane Johnson? Deanne Johnson or Diane Johnson? Can you please unmute yourself?
Yes, hi, good afternoon. Yes, good afternoon. Well, thank you. I'm kind of like multitasking here, but I just definitely wanted to have the opportunity to speak. You need my address?
Can you say your name and your address?
You have up to 2 minutes.
Hello?
6'9". Hello, can you hear me?
No, we couldn't hear you. Please repeat.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay, so once again, my name is Diane Johnson. My home address is 21011 Northwest 14th Place, Miami Gardens, Florida, 33169.
Go ahead.
Did you receive it? Okay. Well, I'm actually speaking on 2 different angles, pretty much, because I am a parent of a Kippster. She attended Kipp Liberty, which is in Liberty City area. which is a phenomenal school. So when it was brought to my attention that they're opening a new location, or they're interested in opening a new location, I thought it was a great idea due to the fact that I do stay in Miami Gardens and the travel is a little hectic, but nevertheless, because of what I love about Kipp, I sacrificed to make sure I get my daughter to that location. They have been very, very supportive in making sure that my daughter succeeds in everything that she does in the school. One of the things that I admire about Kipp is also the fact that although my daughter has a 504 plan, she is not measured by everyone else. She is individualized pretty much as far as, her interests, what she's interested in doing, where they're not, putting her on one measuring stick. So, I know I only have 2 minutes, but I talk about a lot of different things that I think is great. One of the other major things that I noticed that Kipp does, and they have been doing, is pretty much speaking about college and post-secondary education. So they're speaking to the kids numerously about that, starting to let them know about it, letting them experience it. Those individuals that's in the school, constantly speaking to them about it. And not only do they have to go into the college realm, but whatever their mind is set on, just, putting that drive within them to make sure that they can do whatever they set their mind on doing. And I always believe in positivity.
All right, Ms. Johnson, your time has expired. Thank you so much for your comment.
Next.
Latoya Carter.
Hi, yes, my name is Latoya Carter. My address is 12912 Northeast 7th Avenue, North Miami, 33181. I do have a kidster by the name of Devon Fergus that do resides at the school. Been there since the school started. I just want to say the school has been an advocate for my son since he started. Due to my son is very busy body and has been, and they're being very hands-on. It takes a village to raise kids, and Kipp Miami Liberty is the village to raise your kids. And I just want to say they're very awesome and supportive to all the children that's been there, including my son. And that's it.
Thank you very much. Next.
Sherelle Harden.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Sherelle Harden. I live at 9025 Northwest 18th Avenue, Miami, Florida, 33147. Like I said, my name is Sherelle, and I'm a proud mom of a Kippster and a parent board member at Kipp Miami. From the very beginning, Kipp has felt like a second home for me and my daughter. The staff at Kipp make it their mission to make us feel like family, and not just me, but the families that attend. My daughter has received a great education thus far. She likes school and she enjoys learning and participating so she can earn points for Fun Friday. As a founding parent and board member of Kipp, I see and know the firsthand the potential of a new building and community resource that can do for the kids and their families of North Miami, just like it has for Liberty City. Furthermore, I believe in Kipp and all that it stands for, and I will always support them any way I can. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Next, please.
All right. At this time, I'll read the previously submitted comments, Mayor.
If they haven't previously speak.
Correct. Just to make sure that it's all clear on the record, some of these comments have not been sworn to. And so if they have been sworn to, I will advise you.
Okay.
Rhonda Mims, 139.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
may I ask the city attorney a question, please?
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question in regards to that. If we were in person, no one would be able to speak on the matter unless they were sworn in. Is that correct?
They would not. I mean, yeah, they would need to be sworn in. That internally, my recommendation is to just read them on the record, understand that they may not be sworn in, and then give them whatever, give them whatever weight you think they deserve.
Rhonda Mims, 13940 Northwest 14th Avenue. I'm wondering if your plans are set in stone. I would like for you to consider moving your apartment building to the southwest corner of the property. It should not require anything other than erasing it from the northwest and placing it on the southwest. The space should be the same. I don't want my view obstructed by a 3-story building. If your apartments are on the other side of the property, they will have their privacy as well. Unless your selling point is a view of our pond, quote unquote retention pond. Cheryl Riggett Marks, 13930 Northwest 14th Avenue. Honorable Mayor and City Council members, I have read in depth the application for a conditional use permit for the property located at 13855 Northwest 17th Avenue, folio number 06-21230000060, and my initial comments were included in the City of North Miami's Planning Commission September 1 meeting concerning the resolution. Additionally, I submitted my below comments to the virtual community outreach meeting on October 15, 2020 for the proposed Kipp School of Hope. As my comments were not read at that meeting, I wish to submit them at this time for the record. 1. On the north and east side of the property is a quiet residential neighborhood of single-family homes, the majority located around a swimmable 26-acre spring-fed lake. On the east side of the property, which abuts Northwest 15th Avenue, the Mitchell Lake homeowners have requested more than just your proposed chain link fence and small trees separating the soccer field, play areas, and basketball court from the neighboring community. Your proposal would affect our privacy and would do nothing to reduce the noise levels. Also, if lighting were to be installed at a later date, it would allow sporting events to continue later into the evening. 2, who will be running the community medical clinic? Since it would be open to the public, what would be the hours of operation, and would it be open nights and weekends? We have concerns that the area cannot be kept safe without adding 24-hour security. 3, how will the increased traffic and noise problem be handled in the surrounding Mitchell Lake homeowners area? Approximately 850 students and employees will be dropped off and picked up from the facility. People will have a difficult time turning left out of the development onto Opa-locka Boulevard. Therefore, most drivers will drive north to Northwest 143rd Street, turn east, and then turn south onto Northwest 14th Avenue. 4, a developer for the Mirage at Sailboat Cove is building a $26 million affordable housing project on 10 acres in Opa-locka. The project will be comprised of 112 rental townhouses, 2-story, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, and 1,550 square feet. Houses will be part of the 59 existing townhouses. The development is at the north end of Northwest 17th Avenue, where Northwest 17th Avenue turns left into Sailboat Cove, or turns right onto Northwest 143rd Street. This development will substantially increase the traffic on Northwest 17th Avenue, Northwest 143rd Street, and Northwest 14th Avenue. It will also affect the noise level, security, and safety of our neighborhood. Was this proposed development included in the traffic study for this application? I would respectfully request that you take my comments and concerns into consideration. We have 4 letters, from Sheila Hall, 1490 Northwest 138th Street, Miami, Florida 33167. A.B. Burnside, Demetra Thompson at 1471 Northwest 138th Street, Miami, Florida 33161, and then Dressler Bartlett, 1431 Northwest 137th Street, Miami, Florida 33167. And the letters read as follows. Attention, Mayor Bieneme. The Mitchell Lake Homeowners Association is vehemently opposed to the proposed charter schools, apartments, and dormitories to be constructed along Northwest 17th Avenue and Northwest 138th Street. The 17th Avenue corridor is already heavily congested, and any additional development will make matters worse. A charter school will also increase our millage rate and property taxes, something that no homeowner wants to occur. We're also fearful that a school for delinquent youths will bring crime into our neighborhood. We have a nice, safe, well-maintained neighborhood and would like for it to remain that way. So we are asking that you, Vice Mayor Deselman, and the North Miami City Council permanently block all proposed development in our area. Thank you, Mitchell Lake Homeowners Association. And as I said, they were each individually signed by the people, those who submitted them. Reginald Sims, 1420 Northwest 137th Street, North Miami, Florida, 33167. Dear Mayor Ganame, my name is Reginald Sims, and I am the de facto president of Mitchell Lake Homeowners Association. I have enclosed a few letters from my neighbors concerning the proposed charter school on Northwest 17th Avenue and Northwest 138th Street. We do not want that in our area and would like for you and the council members to do everything in your power to block it. Please have copies made of the letters and distribute them to Ms. Irvin, Ms. Keys, Mr. Galvin, and Vice Mayor Deselman. Thank you, Reginald Sims. And that is all we have on this item.
Thank you very much. At this time, do you have any other residents who would like to speak?
Okay.
No.
I don't have any additional hands raised on this item, but you did allow, let me see if.
Mr. Mayor, it's Carter McDowell. I had asked for some time.
Yeah, I'm going to allow you to conclude.
I understand. I just was, since you can't see me, I thought I would just.
We can still see your hand raised and we see you there. So other than that, we don't have any residents or any speakers who have not already spoken on this item with their hands raised.
Public hearing is still open. Public hearing is now closed. And we're going to allow the applicant to conclude.
Mr. Mayor, I want to be fast. We did listen to the neighbors. There were a lot of people who talked about the eastern boundary, and you've heard that from a number of people. You've heard that there are a number of people in the neighborhood that really would prefer that this remain a vacant piece of property, and we fully understand that. I think every neighborhood feels the same way, that nobody ever wants to have anything built next to them. But it is a piece of privately owned land, and expensive one at that. And it will get developed, whether it's us or somebody else. So I don't believe that there's relevance to simply saying, we really don't want you. With regard to the traffic, and if we could pull up the slide presentation briefly, I want to explain why we believe there is almost no incentive for any of the people coming to the proposed school to go through the neighborhood to our east. That neighborhood is sandwiched between the cemetery to their east, and they do back up to our site on the west. But we won't have any traffic going through there. But what makes it particularly, and I can talk you through it because you will all know it. If you're coming from the east going to our school, you're going to be coming along Opa-locka Boulevard, and part of the one-way pair. If you could go to the location sketch, I think it's slide 3 or 4. Or there's also one in the staff report that we could use. There, go back one. There you go. So as you can see on this slide, the neighborhood to our east is and it is, by the way, we respect a wonderful, stable, single-family neighborhood that's been there for a long time with a lot of long-time residents, and that's a wonderful thing. And it's a great neighborhood. There's no question. But if you're coming from the east to come to the school, you're going to be on Opa-locka Boulevard. And in order to circulate through the neighborhood, instead of going directly to 17th Avenue, making a right turn by the church that's there and directly into our driveway, they're suggesting that people coming from the east would make a right turn and circulate all the way north of the lake and then back south and make a left turn off of 17th Avenue into our site. It simply would be so inconvenient to do that we don't believe that the people who are coming to our school are likely to do that, because our driveways are designed to be sure that we do not back up traffic onto 17th Avenue. As you heard from our designer and our engineer, we have thousands of feet of stacking on site. So if they come to 17th Avenue from the east, they make a right turn, they go one property to the north, they make a right turn into our site. That's the most convenient way to get there. Even if it backs up for a period of time, I can't imagine a circumstance where going all the way north to come back south to make a left turn in their site would be more convenient. Let's talk about people coming from the west. They will be on 135th Street. And if they're coming from the Opa-locka because of the one-way pair, and they would make a left on 17th Avenue to go north and come directly into the site. Because of the park to our south, there is no way for them to circulate through that neighborhood unless they went all the way east to the far end of the Dr. Vassell Park, and then came back around and then went north around the lake and came back to our site to make a left turn into our site, as opposed to coming directly to the school off of 17th Avenue. And the reverse is true too. In the evening, if they're leaving, the fact that that park exists to the south and blocks the southbound access out of that neighborhood, it makes it so that it is inconvenient to go through their neighborhood to get to this site. It certainly might be convenient to cut through the neighborhood to go to the housing to the north, but to come all the way around that lake, to come south to make a left turn into our site I can't certainly say nobody will do it, but people tend to take the most convenient route, and that's not a convenient route. If that park was not there and those streets cut through, then yes, there might be some cut through traffic. But, it doesn't make sense because those roads do not connect and there is a one-way pair to the south. With that, we have, as you heard, agreed to put a wall along the entire eastern boundary. There will be no vehicular access. We have secured boundaries on both sides because it is a school. We will have armed security on the site at all hours that the school is open, and it will be monitored 24/7 by security. So it will be a quiet site at night. It won't be occupied. It's a school. And the school day ends at 4. There may be some limited athletic activity after that. We do not have lights on our fields, do not intend to put lights on our fields. And I would note that Dr. Vassell has enormous lights just to the south. So there are lighted fields in the immediate area that we could, work with the city to use if that were necessary.
Carter, for clarification, not Dante Vassell Park, it's Quad Park.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry. I apologize. That's an historic anomaly because I worked in the city of South Miami in a prior life, and we had Dante Vassell, and Claude and Dante were best friends and contemporaries, and I mixed it up for that reason, and thank you for correcting me. I appreciate the correction. Anyway, we, as your staff has said, we meet all of the requirements for the conditional use, literally all of the requirements in the code. We would ask for your support and your approval. You heard from some parents to tell you how important this school is to the community and what a great resource it can be for all of the community, North Miami residents and others. And we ask for your approval. We're here to answer any questions the council may have. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. And now we're gonna come back to council members. Madam Clerk, if you can mute all the other lines, please, while we are talking. And I have a quick question. And for the applicant, do you have apartments and clinics at all of your schools?
I think Jose Pacheco or Todd could answer that question. I believe the answer is no. It's unusual to get a site that's 7.5 acres that would allow us the opportunity to do that. But I would also note that your zoning requires a mixed use, and we are complying with your zoning requirements, providing that mixed use. But we're excited to also provide affordable, good quality housing for our teachers in immediate proximity to our school.
When you said it's required mixed use, it's an option.
No, as Tanya, and she can speak for herself, but as Tanya's indicated in her staff report, the P3 zoning requires 3 uses on site. By your zoning, it must have 3 separate uses, and we do.
And can I talk to Tanya, please? Yes, Tanya. And you said when you have a mixed use, when a location is known for mixed use, is it required that you have a mixed use, or it's an option?
Yes, sir. Yes, it is a requirement in our code. When you have a mixed use, the project has to have 3 uses, one of which has to be residential. That's what differentiates the mixed use category from, say, an R6 or another multi-family category, is that you have a clustering of uses on the site. In this case, it's a community medical facility along with the multi-family, and then the school would be the 3rd use. So they're satisfying the requirements of the code.
Okay, question. How much is the tax base right now? As it is?
Well, it's 0. It's been vacant for the last 30 years. So for 30 years,
property taxes, they don't pay property taxes now. How much it is?
It's 0 because it's vacant.
It's 0 because it's owned by a church.
Yeah.
Oh, it was owned by a
church.
Oh, okay. It was owned by a church. Okay. Now, right now, the size of the apartment, what would be the size?
It is laid out in your staff report. As I remember it, and I'll look it up, but it is laid out in the staff report that was submitted to you. The 1 bedrooms are expected to be approximately 800 square feet.
No,
2 bedrooms.
I'm talking about the total.
Oh, about 33,000 square feet total for the building.
Okay, 33,000 gonna be used for the apartments, right?
Correct.
And the clinics?
And the clinic is 1,400. It's smaller than a house, and then a lot of houses anyway.
That means it's about 47,000 square feet that's going to be used for the clinic and the apartment.
33 and 1,400, it's about 35,000 total.
Okay, 35. Sorry.
It's only
1,000. Sorry. Okay, it's about 30. Okay, about 35. That's the part that's going to be taxable, right?
That will be taxable, yes.
That's the only part. About 35,000 square foot that's going to be taxable.
That is true.
Out of the 7.6 acres, right?
Yes, Mayor, that's an accurate statement because the statute requires schools of hope to be operated by a not-for-profit entity.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. And what's the difference between a Kipp school and a regular charter school?
There are a number of differences, and I would welcome Taylor to join me on this. I mean, as a starting point, there's no tuition that's charged. It's free. Most charter schools do charge or many charter schools do charge tuition in addition to the subsidies that they get from the school board or from the state. And as you heard from a couple of parents and from the principal of the existing middle school, it's a remarkable educational program. The statistics for the Kipp programs nationwide, and there are hundreds of thousands of students that are educated by Kipp at this point, they far exceed the college matriculation, the college graduation rates, and the other rates for public schools in general. It is a nationally recognized school of excellence, and their program is truly remarkable. That's why we've said, and I truly believe, it would be an alternate educational experience available to your community and the rest of the community for free. It's an opportunity more than anything else to get a great education.
Since you said it's free to the public, are you telling me it's a public school where anybody can come in?
Yes, I believe the principal indicated that there is no testing. If they have space and you apply for it and you're on the list, you get in.
Okay, what's the difference between the Kipp school and a public school then?
Primarily the educational program and the support that they provide to the students and parents. It's a different educational approach. It is a more intense, lengthier day, and the results show in their statistics nationwide. I might add, if you look at the statute requires, I'll look for the exact number, but I believe the statute requires that they have a graduation rate exceeding 80%. Jose, if you're available to speak, or Ms. Buck, let me know. But and we sent you the statistics separately in that email. There, I believe our statistics are up in the 94% range, although I don't have them in front of me immediately, and they are in that presentation. Let me see if I can find them. The rest of my team, if you have those numbers handy, feel free to answer the question.
Thank you. And I believe Taylor's trying to speak. Taylor Buck, she has her hand raised and she can talk more about the Kipp program and experience.
Hi, I'm back again. Thank you so much for those questions. So I wanted to address the first question in terms of what makes Kipp different from other charter schools. And so to answer that question, first, it's really about our emphasis on character development. So you'll find in some charter schools, the emphasis is just on academics and rigor. And while that is what a school is about and what we care about, we also make sure to give our students the social and emotional development that's needed. A public school and a charter schools are autonomous. So there's an opportunity for us to make adjustments to meet the needs and the best interests of our kids and our families. And so, like Carter was mentioning, we do have a longer school day, and that helps us to provide interventions for students who may be struggling with math or with reading. And then we also provide enrichment for students, to make sure that they get that exposure as well. And so those are just some of the things that really set us apart from other schools that you may find in the country.
Is it for any students or students with special condition?
Oh, it's for all students. And so we have a quote we like to say, all means all. And so if a family is interested in our Kipp school, they apply. If we have a seat available, then they are accepted. It is tuition free, and there doesn't have to be any special requirements. There's no special testing. It's really an opportunity. If a family would like to opt into our school program, we support that family. Another thing that makes Kipp different is that we support our students, we like to say, to and through college. And so it is a K-12 program, but we also have advisors that support our students after they graduate from high school. And so we support them in their secondary education as well, and just keep track of them, which has helped Kipp nationwide have a stronger rate of students stay in college.
Thank you very much. And now let's turn it over to council members. Vice Mayor Desaulniers.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was trying to mute my mic. I listened to the presentation and the speakers. One of the fortunate part that we do have with the format of having the virtual meetings, we do have a lot of elderly and folks who would normally be present, but due to the format of the meetings, they are unable to participate. Especially with the quasi-judicial, the way we did it, they had to submit a form if they don't have a scanner or however that they needed to do it, even in the case of the writing of the letter. So in terms of that, we gotta, I know we have an item where we need to discuss what we do in terms of meetings moving forward. So that is that, but with an item like this, it's really, did somebody say something or it's, with an item like this, I would really had, like if we, you know, the more of the community participation in terms of hearing more from the community, but again, because of the format. But I do have a couple of questions from Kipp, if they are still on here. What is the curriculum? I think the principal was explaining some of that in terms of the format. I know it's not an alternative school. So when you say, why is it described again? It's a special school? I'm sorry, I wrote it down somewhere.
It is called a School of Hope, which is a statutory, which is a statutory phrase. It does not mean that it's for alternate education. It does not involve any delinquencies or behavior problems. It is simply a top-notch educational program available to students, and by statute, it's available to anybody who seeks to attend, assuming there's space. And that's part of the reason the Kipp wants to expand, by the way, is because their course programs are quite full.
Yes, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to interrupt anyone.
Go ahead. Yes.
Oh, thank you. This is Taylor Buck again. It is not an alternative school. Kipp, we want to emphasize that our school is open to all students and families, but it is for students to be able to excel. We have students that have all abilities. Our teachers send their own children to Kipp, and when I have children, they'll be going to Kipp as well. So it's really an opportunity for all students to excel. For families that would like that school option. It is not an alternative school, and it is not a school for delinquent children. That's just not something that we believe in, but just wanted to emphasize that.
Okay. The other question that I have in terms of the clinic, and I think in part of the presentation that was interested, the clinic will be for the 1,400 students that are enrolled in their family, or is it only going to operate when the school is open, not on weekends? So clarify that for me, because despite what we heard today, I received a lot of calls from the folks from the area in terms of, and they were not very thrilled in terms of the October 15th community engagement meeting that was held, because a lot of them are elder, and either they don't have access to social media, access to virtual meetings, or could get online, or the meeting wasn't long enough. So there was all type of stuff, and I don't think this really helped the case either. So explain to me, so what are the questions concerned that I had was the clinic, and I know Tanya talked about the part of the requirement for the 3 use had to be the apartment for the mixed use, the apartment, the clinic, and the school. But the clinic, you said, would be only available for the students and would not be operating on weekend. I just wanted some clarify on that.
So, kind of yes and no. So the clinic its primary focus is on the school population, meaning the students, so that there's direct availability of good healthcare for our students. And to the extent that their families want to join them and or need to join them because they're minors, it would be available to the family members. We are not closing it to the public. If there is a person in the neighborhood who wants to come to the clinic, they can do so. However, it will only be open during school operating hours. So there will be no weekend hours. It's not a emergency care facility, an urgent care facility in that sense. It is only operational when the school is operational and when there's full security on the property. And it is a tiny clinic. It's 1,400 square feet. I think we all, at least know houses that are 100 or 1,400 square feet. They're not large homes. And this is a commercial, it's a medical facility, so there's a lot of separation that's needed, particularly in this day and age. If COVID stays around, which unfortunately it looks like it's going to be around for a while, this clinic will help us make sure that our students stay safe and get the care that they need. If a member of the public wants to come, they will be allowed to, but it will not generate additional traffic other than that which is coming to the school in any significant way. And it will be closed at night. It will be closed probably starting at about 4 p.m. and it will be closed all weekend. So it will not generate noise or traffic for the neighbors.
Question, why was the clinic chosen as the alternative or as the other mixed use, I guess, need? Part of that, what was the thing behind it?
I'm going to ask Jose Pacheco, who I believe is still on, to answer that. He's with Kipp and handles their real estate. I think the answer is because we thought it was a really important facility for our population, and it was a good facility to provide additional support to the neighborhood if they wanted to take advantage of it. But Jose, are you available?
Yes, I'm available. Thank you, Carter. Mr. Vice Mayor, our initial conversations with the folks in your city, we asked them, what is the biggest community need and what does the city really need in terms of community use? So that the community clinic was the biggest point and actually recommended.
Mr. Kipp, who are those folks from where?
From the city of North Miami.
I'm saying which department?
Debbie Love, when we had our initial conversations with her, she mentioned that was a huge need in the community. And we thought it was a great idea to add that to our program because we can service our kids and also help the folks in the surrounding area.
Got it. Was there anything else considered besides the clinic?
Well, we talked about a couple different options. We talked about a community park or a community garden, which we're also including as part of our development. The park didn't seem as feasible due to limitations of the site and the fact that we needed to fill the site with multiple uses. So the one compromise and the thing that everyone agreed to, and we were extremely happy to provide, is a community clinic. We were really surprised to hear the feedback from the neighborhood about that, considering that was one of the key things that the city of North Miami requested.
The other question I have is in reference to, okay, so the community garden would have been the same thing as well as it was suggested, to have the community garden in terms of that. the addition of the community garden, would that was the same thing as the clinic? It was
Yeah, we wanted to offer that as an additional incentive and an actual use for the community. Sure, the clinic, no one really wants to go to a clinic, but we wanted to make our site available to the community to build something fruitful. And we also thought it'd be a great partnership where our kids could interact with them and, you know, learn how to grow crops and how to tend to their own flowers and plants. So that's something that was appealing to everyone, and that's why we proposed that.
Yes, and you said that you guys did a traffic study, or you guys had a traffic expert, because part of the complaint, or when I went out there and I looked at it, I did see during rush hour, and of course because of COVID, traffic is not as bad now. But during rush hour, as folks from trying to not go on 441, you know, on 7th Avenue, so they use 17th Avenue as an alternative to kind of cut through. So you know, it's a little bit crazy there. So you saying there wouldn't be any impact in terms of that kind of traffic going on with 1,400 kids there?
Yeah, the goal and the reason why we did the traffic study was to create an area where we would maintain all the traffic within our site. And that's what we did with all of our 3 staging lanes. We have staging lanes for buses and then staging lanes for cars within our site. So you can imagine that takes up quite a bit of real estate within our own property. And we did that because we know that we don't want to be a nuisance in the neighborhood, and we want to make sure that everyone's happy with us there, so that when the only traffic that's created is within our own site, because you don't have the typical stop and go and, you know, parents pulling over and blocking the road. We're doing that all within our own site. And the buses obviously help too, because it's easy in and out, and we have different entry and exit points on there, which help alleviate some of that congestion within our own site.
And to answer your technical question, yes, we submitted a traffic report prepared by a traffic engineer from Kimley Horn, which was reviewed by your staff, and they provided comments. And so, yes, we absolutely looked at traffic generation for this site and its impact on the surrounding roadways as required by your code.
Yes, and before my last question, the affordable housing, and I think we talked about that. I don't like affordable housing. I think we mentioned that from way at the beginning when we did talk. So, you know, I think you said you were going to do for the teachers. So these are going to be affordable housing, or what housing is going to be there? Because that's my
As listed in your staff report, it gives actually the rental rates. It's not affordable in the sense that it is subsidized, because it is not subsidized housing.
Okay.
Because it is housing that is affordable for teachers, firemen, policemen.
Because one of the things that I said to you guys from the early on of the project, I said to you as an educator, I understand education, and one of the main components that I said that you guys had to do was to really explain, especially this land been around there for decades. And folks around there didn't know what was happening, and you guys really needed to explain what was the vision of what was happening there. And I think we kind of, you guys kind of lost that going in terms of explaining to the community, because I was hearing stuff from all over, and then by the time it came to me, I'm like, wait a minute, that's not what I've heard. And it wasn't really my job to explain the project, because I was getting piece and pieces from it. And what I did reach out to you guys, and I said, please make sure that the community understand what you guys are trying to put there, because we were hearing all type of stuff from, all the different type of explanation that's not too accurate. And I think from the community meeting that was held on October 15th, I don't know how well that kind of went on because of the way the explanation of the meeting went. So I do think that in terms of coming into our city, I think this is a project that the folks from there, I think you talked about the putting in the wall. Is that my understanding? Because that was my biggest concern, that the wall, the buffer.
Correct.
We have modified our plans to include specifically a solid wall on that eastern boundary with additional landscaping. And we have proffered that, and we expect that would be part of our approval. And so, yes, we believe we responded to that concern of the neighborhood. I would note, just for the record, that we had, I believe, 25 or 30 people participate in our neighborhood event. It was virtual, much like this meeting is virtual. Unfortunately for all of us, COVID is very real. And there was real concern about not having face-to-face meetings, at least partially because of the disparate impact on elderly population. And we knew that a lot of the residences in the neighborhood are elderly. It wouldn't have been appropriate to be face-to-face with a large group of people. And yet they were able to participate. We had I've done a lot of community meetings over many years.
Sir, it was, based on the meetings and I was in there, because I wish I was able to participate, but I had a prior engagement. There was way more, trust me. They all in their 70s and 80s, and they kept on calling me because they couldn't. I don't think they were looking for a one-on-one meeting with you guys, but at least I have felt, and that would have been better for the whole project, because I said to them, something is going to go there, like it or not. So the option, and nobody said to me that they did not want something there. I don't think that was the case. Because I said from the get-go, I said, listen, this is the property been there for a while. It's welcoming. I think we need something going to go there. I don't know what's going to go there in terms of that, but these are folks who've been in their property for 30, 40 years. They are all educators, old-time professionals, but they're not used in terms of the technology, in terms of that. So they were either looking for somebody to drop something off to them or explain to them a little bit or answer their question in terms of that component, not necessarily you guys doing a full, presentation, because they worried about their health also. So that was the concern that you were calling about.
We mailed about a 10-page, we mailed a presentation to them. It was not the full presentation that you saw tonight, but it was very close and had all of the information. It had the site plan. It had the information. Your staff attended that meeting and listened. So we didn't rely just on the remote. We mailed a lot of information to people, to every single person who was listed in the surrounding area. They got a package from us with the notice of this meeting. So
there were some members of the homeowners who did not receive the notice of the meeting at all. So I don't know if you noticed, but the post office has not been a little bit cooperative very, very well. not your fault, but there was some, because when I did get the email, I got some calls a couple of days before the meetings, and some of them did not get it. I believe how a couple of them got on there, somebody from the homeowners would have made copies. And I'm not sure, but I believe that, that was the case, because it was the Thursday, the week before, they still did not receive the notice, because some of them called their county commission to ask what was the rule on, notice, time notice and this and this and that. And they were, coming and screaming and all this. I said, I do not know. I'm not the developer. All I do know that there is a meeting that's going to be held. And one person did say they got it and they were making copies. But again, like I said, I do see the components. I do see that I would hope that it would have went a little bit different in terms of the the respect and the terms of the community and explaining and needed to do what needs to be done, especially coming in from the out. My concern is the clinic. I'm gonna be straight up. I wish there was another use that was there, because we do have a couple of clinics that's nearby. I don't know what was the thing regarding that. The traffic, you guys put that in terms of the use. The affordable housing component, I think that was answered in terms of, so it's not Section 8 homes that's going to be there. It's market rate. So those are my concerns, Mr. Mayor, and I yield to any other member of the council. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, you're muted.
The issue that I have is the clinic. It seems like the only reason they add the clinic is just to satisfy the requirement of the city. When you're talking about 1,400 square foot of clinic, that's mean it's like a small retail store. And I don't see how you're going to manage a clinic where you're going to have outside patient on a 1,400 square footage. My question to you, in the presentation, it seems like not only you talked about the clinic, but you also talk about the community garden. But your answer to Vice Mayor Desulme, it seems like the community garden is an alternative. It's not cornerstone on the plan.
It is shown on the plan. If you approve our application, we will include the community garden.
What is the size of the community garden?
If I may, George Balaban, who did the same thing, could you try to answer that for us, please? Oh, you know what? George said he had to drop off for a period of time. Todd, do you know the size of the community garden? I unfortunately do not. I think I want to say it's like 16,000 square feet, but I don't honestly know.
Yeah, the other concern that I have, why are you going to connect to Opa-locka sewer line instead of North Miami?
We will connect to whatever sewer line we are directed to by Miami-Dade County Durham. Miami-Dade County Durham controls where you connect. If there is a sewer line in the city of North Miami that's available, we are happy to connect to it. We were directed toward Opa-locka because I believe it's part of their service area. But if it's available in North Miami, we'd be happy to be in North Miami.
Okay, but you see, what about the water? What about the water?
Can I speak for a quick second? This is George Balaban.
Are you going to speak?
He's there.
So I can answer those questions. One, related to the sewer, there's unfortunately no sewer available within the service area here. We would love to connect the city of North Miami. Unfortunately, there's nothing nearby, not even remotely close. So we're connecting with the Opa-locka and adding the lift station. So the majority of the 99.9% of sewers all have to be routed to our lift station. Only a small amount of sewer is then going to be sent over via force main into the Opa-locka system. So we're going to have internal sewer gravity system that's collected on site. Then I have a grinder station on the southwest corner of the property, grinds the sewer up prior to doing discharge to the main line through the force main into the Opa-locka system. And then as far as water, this is within the city of North Miami Beach water service area. And I did request for them to see if they would release this service area, and they're not willing to release it. But I did attempt to connect the city of North Miami if possible. So unfortunately, it's not within the service area, and for the water, for the sewer,
Okay. And let the other council members speak on the item. Can you mute the mic, please? Yeah, like I said, it is 7.6 acre land and only 35%. 35,000 square foot gonna be taxable and by the city of North Miami. The other one's gonna be free. Is gonna be free. That's when they're not gonna pay any taxes on it then. And with the 1,400 square feet of clinics, I don't see a real clinic there. That's actually my concern on this project. And other council members who want to speak first. Councilwoman Carol Keys.
Thank you. I have a couple questions to, I guess, Tanya, our director. I can't pull up the package, not enough internet to get it. So what is the zoning on this property?
So the zoning is PD3 with a land use of a mixed use high.
Mixed use high. So the clinic, the school, the apartments, are any of those special exceptions that requires a special exception, or are they just permitted?
So those are permitted, but it does require a site plan approval as the next stage.
But the uses are all permitted as opposed to requiring exception.
Correct. And it's going on to the conditional use process. So that in itself serves as a public hearing opportunity for the project. And then the detailed technical site plan review will go through the development review committee. And then once approved, it will come before city council for final approval of the resolution.
And the height limit of that property, the zoning?
110 feet, maximum height.
100 feet? Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you.
Very much.
My question. No, excuse me, wait.
Oh, sorry.
That was just my question.
Oh.
Yeah, those are just my questions on the zoning because I couldn't pull it up. I think this project is good. I think it's a tremendous use of the school. The clinic, when I heard, I thought was great because it's access to families to have their children, convenient access for the families and the children. I don't see a problem with it. I don't see that someone owns a piece of property. They're not asking for, they don't need to ask permission for a clinic or a school. It's allowed. This is private property. It's, we're not that happy. Maybe we'd like it to be all taxed, but the residents, I would be thrilled if I lived near this property and I was going to get 24 units as opposed to 335 units, which are allowed on this size land. We've got 45 units per acre times 7.5. You've got 335 units. One of the people said they'd rather have a 10-foot story tower. Well, 3 10-story foot towers are really going to ruin the quality of life for people looking down into their neighborhoods. So I think they should, they should be careful what they wish for. I don't see a traffic problem. You've got one way on West 135th Street, 17th Avenue is the only access. I don't see any type of hardship for the people. There was no legal requirement that they were noticed, but they were. I've been getting letters since well before the October meeting. So to think that the people did not have notice, I don't agree. And lastly, if you read, what our attorney gives us is anybody who didn't speak to us, were they going to provide us with some competent and substantial evidence showing why this shouldn't be allowed other than we don't want anything there, we want to keep it empty. Well, everybody wants to keep it empty, and I just don't think that's, we can't tell a private person they can't put it up, and they can't put it up because it's not taxed. So I don't see really how we can say no to this project. I think it's a good project. I'm sorry, people will be thinking they're going to be, annoyed by it, but I think the alternatives of what they could see on this If you go for a big commercial mixed use with high rises, they're going to be a lot sorrier if that's built. So just thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilman Galvin.
No questions.
Yeah, and let me emphasize on what Councilwoman Key said. I understand your concern, and I don't think we have an issue with the clinic. When you're talking about a 1,400 square feet of clinic, that's 1,400 square feet to add a clinic, and that's the concern. And if it was a real clinic with a real size, we will understand. But when you're talking about 1,400 community clinic and it's going to be closed during school hours, and I don't know about that. And I don't know if anybody want to add anything before we.
Excuse me. They said it would only be open. It would be open only during school hours.
Correct.
I understand that.
Mr. Mayor,
yes.
In terms of tax revenues, I think it's important to note that it is currently owned and has been for decades by a church, and there is zero revenue.
It was owned by, but understand that it's been sold 2 years ago, from what I understand. But the thing is because they never transferred the title. That's the reason why it's not taxable at this time. Let's not go there if we have to talk about that.
We're not the existing owner.
I understand it's a church, but you're talking about 7.6 acres land. And if you're talking about a real clinic for the community, 1,400, and I don't know.
It was a hard balance for us to find something that would provide a service, but not generate traffic.
Yeah, and I don't understand how come someone from the city can tell you a clinic in the area there is a need when we have so many clinics in the community. I'm pretty much sure it's someone who doesn't even know where the city, who just work for the city, but they don't know exactly what the city needs. That's going to tell you 1,400 square feet of clinic. That's what the community need in that area. And I don't see how someone who doesn't live in the city going to tell the community of that area, this is what you need in your community. I think that's my concern for that. I don't know in what direction we're going to go. Are we going to review the plan and look at the clinic, or are we going to do if we're not going to vote, or if we need to take a vote on that? And Mr. City Attorney and Jeff?
Hi, I just wanted to add, we have other schools across the country that have clinics, and unfortunately they're smaller, but are still able to serve its purpose. So it's more of a family and student clinic. If a student is sick, they can go directly to the clinic with their parent, and that's how it's mostly used. But it is available to community members during the school hours if they were to need it. So I just wanted to add that context as well. Thank you.
No, but I do understand the need of the clinic, but the applicant just stated early it was recommended by staff. It's staff that recommended the clinic. It's not like the view of the applicant or the community asked for it. Thank you. And Jeff, Mr. City Attorney, and do we have to vote on it, or can we come up with some type of agreement with the applicant to review it and come back, or do we have to vote on it?
Mr. Mayor, this is Pacheco from Kipp. We are open to expanding that clinic footprint. We're not looking to take up too much of our internal program space, but we are more than open to getting additional feedback and what the community really needs in terms of use of the clinic. So it's not just set in stone, where obviously this is very preliminary. We are going to submit full floor plans, and we are going to the engineering review board for this. So before we do that and get to that stage, we would love to get additional feedback, and we are more than happy to expand our footprint.
Okay, I think that's what we're gonna do to table the item until maybe until the next meeting. And
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
If I may,
Yes.
as a possible solution, as you've heard, we have to come back for detailed site plan approval through the DRC process. I'm wondering if you would consider approving it with a requirement that we explore the community facility with both the community and the city. And if there is a desire, but before we get to the DRC, through the DRC process, which comes back to the city commission for a vote, that we define the clinic to either be larger or smaller or an alternate use prior to the final DRC approval, that we bring it back to you if Tanya believes that that would meet the zoning requirements. We're not married to either approach. We are simply trying to respond.
Thank you. And Vice Mayor Desormeaux.
Can I say something, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Am I open? Yes. I think that might be best, Mr. Ty, I think it may be best if we do, if we can table it, because I think that would resolve all of the questions, because I'm not sitting right now, and I do not want to be where I am right now in terms of that. So I think in 2 weeks, Madam Manager, the next meeting is the week of.
No, and I think if we're gonna have to do a community, maybe another community meeting, and we negotiate the size of the clinic and all those things, it's better to put it at the end of next month. That's been the second meeting in November.
Is that before Thanksgiving, or? I mean, if they could do it before the next 2 weeks,
that's fine with me. I don't have any issue with that.
If we're to be continued, we would very much like to do it as quickly as possible.
Okay. The thing is to be continued at the next council meeting if it's.
Mayor, you have to take a vote. You can't on your own continue the item.
No, I understand. And
okay, the entire board has to make that decision.
Continue the item until the next council meeting.
Is that your motion, Mayor?
Yes.
Second.
I have a motion made by Mayor Bami to table the item at tab 8 until the next meeting.
Second.
I think you heard
the motion was seconded by Councilman Galvin. Councilwoman Estimate Irvin, how do you vote?
You'll come back to her.
Galvin, how do you vote? Councilman Galvin, how do you vote?
He's hearing.
Councilwoman Kiki, vote?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Desormeaux, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mayor Bienemay, how do you vote?
Yes.
Motion carries with a 5-0 vote.
Thank you very much. And now next on the agenda is citizen forum. Madam Clerk, do you have any?
If you wish to speak during the citizens forum, please raise your hand at this time. Jerome Collins, 170 Northeast 123rd Street, North Miami, Florida, 33161. Attention councilmen / all U.S. decision makers, there is never a reason to defund the police. This country have laws for some states, but not others. Laws that are stricter for cops to use their equipment most appropriately must be in effect for all cities in the state. The most problematic situations with the police comes from their misuse of guns. These requirements most likely will require more funding. This caring motivation will push cops to be most careful to all they encounter. To get rid of cops said, fear U.S. government, buy all auto guns off the public you cause to fear. Sincerely, Jerome Cohen. Bob Pashan. I have heard good things. Well, this is for Stephanie. Welcome belatedly to planning. I have heard good things about you and look forward to meeting you at some point down the road. I am over 65 years old and have a compromised immune system. Therefore, I will not be attending quote unquote live planning commission meetings for a while. I can continue to participate in the virtual meetings as long as that is an available option. Please pass this along as my feedback on the subject. Bob Bashan. Mayor, at this time, I don't see any other hands raised to speak on this during Citizens Forum.
Thank you very much. Citizen Forum is now closed. Now council report, and the first report, Councilman Galvin, at the TPO board meeting, we echo your letter and to the TPO, the Transportation Board, and regarding 123rd as one emergency location or priority location for a Redwood Trail and stop. And I don't want if you want to elaborate on that.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know that other members of council had also virtually attended the county commission hearing held a couple of days before that. Everybody has weighed in from the city that we want 123rd Street to be a bright line stop. So my letter to the TPO was actually written before that county commission meeting had been announced. So, you know, they had already made the decision at that point, but thank you for listening and acknowledging it.
And thank you very much, Councilman Galvin. And I was at the TPO meeting, and now the city expressed and the option to have a stop on 123rd, and now we have to show that we are serious about it. And one of the points, we did all the study about the downtown, about the mobility hub location, and now we need to show how we're going to pay for that station. And I feel very optimistic about our downtown. And right now, I would like to comment that the city administration and the CRA start talking about the P3 project so we can start moving forward, because we said 123rd is a good, is a priority for the city, and now the city need to show that they can afford it, they can work on it, and they can work on making sure we have a vibrant downtown. And when it comes to the P3 project, and I would like to see the CRA, I don't know if at the next CRA meeting, can we do like a workshop about the surveys, about all the comments done sent to the CRA by the residents, and what we're going to do with the city land. And actually, we have about 10 acres land around the downtown doing nothing. And I would like to see the city turn it over to the CRA. The CRA can build it, and at the end of the day, the CRA is going to have to return it to the city. That's when we need to act quick and see before the end of this year if we can put that RFP out. And between now and December, we have to do everything we can between the city and the CRA to do something, and when or something, if we have to pass a resolution or something, because we need to move forward with the P3 project. And for me personally, and I would like to see the city of North Miami, either we sell it to the city, we sell the land to the CRA so the CRA can build the new city hall, or just turn it over to the CRA is going to build, and they're going to enter that into that P3 agreement. And at the end of the day, when it's time to sunset, the CRA is going to have to return it to the city anyway, the part that belong to the city, and that's a lot of money to the city that we cannot just stay and thinking that money gonna come to balance our budget. We need to move and do something. And that's the end of my report. And who's next for report? And Carol, Councilwoman Carol Keys.
Yeah, I have no reports, thank you.
You're not gonna talk about 123rd?
We talked about it, I guess we're on hold. I mean, I attended the meeting. They added, I haven't seen the amendment, but they amended it to add North Miami as a second priority stop. But one commissioner came on and said, let's not, and our commissioner said she agreed. So, I mean, I'm waiting. I spoke to our attorney and manager yesterday, and I'd asked for a copy of the amendment. And I believe that the city's done a lot of work towards 123rd Street to show we're serious. We've done studies, we've changed the zoning. I think the next step is to show that we will be able to afford the train stop, and I'm hoping to get with Rasha, the CRA, and I think we could come up with some ideas to get the train stop in.
Yeah, and it's not just for the CRA to spend the money there, it's for the CRA and to make the downtown vibrant, so they can see activities in the downtown, so they can see where the money is coming to pay for it. And if you're done, Councilwoman Keys, let's go to Councilwoman Irvin.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too sent a letter to all of the commissioners expressing the disappointment of our residents and businesses, and also highlighting all of the efforts that the city has made to make sure that we had that stop on 123rd, showing all of the studies that show that this would have been a priority stop. And so, I've been, like I've mentioned in our last council meeting, that I would be in conversation with both our commissioners, and I had initially spoken to Commissioner Hayman before the meeting. I had a virtual meeting where some of the residents were able to hop on, and her staff was on there. They were able to hear directly what our concerns were. I spoke to Commissioner Monstein as well, and with his office, and expressed our concerns. So I believe that there are efforts that are being made so that 123rd is a priority stop. I'm sure that we all will be pushing, as Councilman Galvin stated.
Councilwoman, I know it's your report. I'm going to give you the floor, but it's not like a disappointment. Understand that the station is going to be private funding. That means they were looking for a location where private funding is easy. I think that's why they pick up 151. And now they agree that 123rd will be a priority. Now it's up to us to show that how we're going to pay for it, or where the private funding are coming. I think the development of the downtown, that's one of the tools that's going to help that. And go ahead.
Well, that basically sums my report in terms of the train. Are we doing a council report, or is everybody else talking?
Yeah.
Okay, so
How can you move to adjourn if you don't have anything?
I have something, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. So last week we celebrated Florida City Government Week, and we had 13 virtual events in 7 days. We connected with entire families from our mocha makers, Monarchy Butterfly, to learning how to make fried fish plantain pickles. We learned how to make the Jersey breakfast sandwich and a vegetarian soup. So I'd like to thank Vice Mayor Alex Esume, which was the star of our week. And we also had State Representative Pizzo that was very informative, and State Representative elect Christopher Benjamin that talked about some of his initiatives that he's going to do, take in Tallahassee. We learned about different resources available to our community. We also aired a virtual tour of our city hall, highlighting North Miami Police Department, North Miami Public Library, and MOCA. And for you that have not seen that, all of this is available on YouTube. You can go see that on our page. The virtual tour is still accessible, I just said that, on our Nomi TV. And I had a great time recording a story, Be My Neighbor, and What Can the Citizens Do for Story Times at the library. We even had a quick bike ride with our city, with the North Miami Police Department, right before the storm. So a special thank you to the Haitian American Chamber of Commerce for partnering with me to host a business luncheon that featured our very own Rasha Kamo, our executive director of the North Miami CRA, which was our keynote speaker. And we also had the privilege of having the president of the National Leagues of City, President Tony Ortiz, during our conversation there. Last but not least, I'm excited about our newly elected North Miami Youth Council member. And I know great things will come from this board. So I would like to publicly thank the city administration, CRA, CP&D, IT, mayor and council. Thank you, Scott, for being at the North Miami youth installation. Thank you, Vice Mayor, for leading that. We missed you, Mayor and Carol. The North Miami Police Department, North Miami Public Library, PIO, Public Works, HACOF, KC Healthy Cooking. I'd like to say a special thank you to Rosalie Augustine and to Patricia Levasseur. They really labored with me in making sure that this week was great. And Natasha, shout outs to you as well. Thank you all. And as usual, I'm accessible to all of you, but in particular District 3 residents, and I can be reached at District 3 at northmiamifl.gov, or you can call 305-788-2592. And thank you, Mr. Mayor. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Desilme, for your report. If it's not there, and we know, and this week is the last week for early voting. And I know next Tuesday, there's a lot of employees that express the desire to help or volunteer some organization for that Tuesday election. I don't know if the city manager can, is there a way they can allow service hours to employees who would like to help on election day? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
It's something we'll consider after the meeting, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Vice Mayor is not, we don't have, yes, Councilman Galvin. But understand
I was just going to.
Yes.
I was just going to ask whether the city attorney is going to talk about future meetings and his report, future in-person versus virtual meetings.
Yes, sir. Or you can have the conversation now. We don't have to wait till the end of the meeting.
Let's finish. Yeah, Ken. Go ahead, see that.
Vice Mayor's
the next report is Madam Clerk.
All right, thank you, Mayor. So for one, there have been employees asking about having some time off to do some volunteer assistance. Given the long lines, being able to serve as proxies for people who are unable to physically stand and basically lend their time and service to individuals who want to vote. So for early voting, I'm encouraging.
And first of all, and let's make it clear, it's going to be non-partisan.
It's an activity.
First of all, and it doesn't apply to candidates. If there's an employee, the employee is a candidate, that's when it cannot be, that volunteer thing cannot apply to that employee.
Exactly. So it would be nonpartisan activities that would just help voters, but not actually campaigning or doing anything related to a party or a specific candidate. So that was the request.
Okay.
I just want to remind everyone to continue getting out there and going to vote and voting early as possible. It is anticipated that there would be extremely long lines, and so I encourage everyone to go ahead and get out the vote as early as possible. So far, at the North Miami Library, we've had 11,395 people cast their ballots. However, we're at 10 out of 33 of the precincts. And so I really encourage us to get our numbers up, get our neighbors out to vote, get our colleagues out to vote. We know how extremely important it is to make our voices heard. It is our power. And so please feel free to take as many people as you can with you to go out and vote. Take some time to also volunteer, because there are folks who aren't able to stand in the lines and they need a proxy because they're not as able to stand in long lines as maybe the rest of us are. So for those who are differently abled and need that type of assistance, I encourage people, if you have the time, to go out and volunteer. Knock on doors, just get as many people out as you possibly can, but of course, ensuring that you're taking precautions for yourself. The early voting locations are open county-wide from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And as long as you're in line before 7 p.m., you will be able to cast your vote. But nevertheless, go early as possible. Go at 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning. You can go when polls open, and that's supposed to be a much shorter line. I want to also remind everyone that you can drop off your mail-in ballots or your absentee ballots, as it's sometimes called, at early voting sites. There is a safe drop box there for you to take, and you can take it on behalf of an individual that's in your house. For example, a spouse. Many of you have asked about elderly parents being able to take theirs as well, and you can do that as well. But make sure that you don't get in trouble for absentee ballot or mail-in ballot harvesting.
Madam Clerk.
Mayor?
How many ballots can you carry?
No more than 2.
Exactly.
No more than 2 ballots.
That means if you have 7 people registered in that house and they all request an absentee ballot, you cannot carry 7 absentee ballots.
Correct. And so as I was starting to say, you don't want to get yourself in trouble for what is called absentee ballot or mail-in ballot, vote by mail ballot harvesting, which would be just collecting absentee ballots or mail-in ballots and taking them yourself. We know that that is against county ordinance, and so you want to make sure that you don't get yourself in trouble in that way. But it's definitely okay to do that on behalf of someone. And if you have a spouse or someone else who's able to go with you, in theory, both of you are able to take them. You can walk up to that site, and I believe that you can also maybe drive up, but you may have to get out of line and present that to the person there. I know that a lot of people who have done it have found it really secure. They felt very safe about it. Remember that they are sanitizing in there, so don't be too afraid to go out and cast your ballot. We cannot let, this fear overcome us and not cast our vote. If you have any questions, you're also welcome to contact the city clerk's office at 305-895-9817. Additionally, on Monday, the 2nd, and November 3rd, which is actually Election Day, you can drop your ballots off at 4 designated locations. The first one being Stephen P. Clark Government Center, North Dade Regional Library, South Dade Regional Library, and also the Department of Elections in Doral. So that means that there is one site for the day before Election Day and Election Day. In each quadrant, there's one site that you can still drop off your ballots, but you cannot do so at your precinct. At that point, you'd be surrendering your ballot and then casting a vote at the location. I just want to keep reminding you how important it is to get out there and vote. On top of that, tonight at 6, we'll be having a Domestic Violence Awareness Month crucial conversation in partnership with the Commissioner Juliana Straub of North Bay Village, where we have assembled a panel of experts who will also be providing resources. And on top of that, I remind everyone that North Miami Public Library is open to assist you with healthcare, Affordable Healthcare Act marketplace enrollment. And so open enrollment is coming soon. So please contact the North Miami Public Library for more information. And that concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you very much. And also, we were talking about employees volunteer. That's mean if they're signed to be a volunteer, they cannot be paid by a campaign. I understand. They only can be volunteer. Or if they want to get paid, they want to take time off. That's when they got to use the time off, and then they could get paid by a campaign. And I didn't see Vice Mayor Desulme. And are we done? City Attorney?
Yes, Mayor. As I mentioned, over this week, I think I've spoken to most of you. I've sent communication, I believe yesterday was an email. As you know, on September 30th, the governor issued Executive Order 20-246, which extended our ability to have virtual meetings up until November 1st, 2020, which means November 1st, 2020, we can no longer have virtual meetings unless somehow he extends it. But my understanding in talking to other attorneys at the county and other municipalities, the governor doesn't have any intention of doing that. So we need to be prepared for our November 10th meeting on how we're going to move forward. In talking to the other city attorneys in Miami-Dade County, the decision in different cities runs as far as having everyone go back to meeting in person, all the way to some cities are going as far as to taking the action of having their own emergency orders that allow them to have virtual meetings. In my email to you, I posed 4 options. As I said in my email, those options are not comprehensive. What I am recommending is that if we choose to do a virtual type meeting, if we decide that we're going to do a virtual type meeting, that at this meeting today, you all make a factual finding that it's required that we need to vote virtually, so that it'll allow us to go ahead and do that at the November 10th meeting. So at that point, I'll leave it to you all to have your discussion. As I said, I provided the options in the email. And you just need to provide us with some guidance on how you'd like to proceed, so that the staff can make the appropriate arrangements, both physically and electronically, to do whatever you like. Thank you. Actually, the manager, am I still, can you hear me? 2 other things I did forget. The other thing is, remember, we're having these meetings at 2:00 because of an emergency order that we passed, changing our rules from our code, allowing us to do it 2:00. Normally, we would have to have these meetings, I believe they were 7:00 in our code, or after 5. So we need to make that decision also. And then the final thing, which I put in my email, is whatever decision you make, it should be made, at least in my opinion, should be made for all of the boards. We've already, as you know, during public comments, you've heard from one board member. You would be making these decisions not only for yourself, but for all the boards in the city, unless you all make the decision to allow each board to have their own decision, which I would prefer you didn't, but obviously that decision is up to you.
Thank you very much. City Manager's report. Hello?
Well, I was waiting for a discussion on this item for the city attorney's report. We should be discussing this item on the next meeting.
Go ahead, Councilman Galvin.
I would suggest that we return to 7 p.m. in-person meetings starting November the 10th, just keeping in practice with the CDC, social distance, masks, and everything else. I say go back to regular meetings at 7 p.m.
Anybody else? Yes, Councilwoman Keys.
Okay, I would like to see, at the very least, that we be able to, as long as we have a quorum, then the portion of the it could be virtually. I prefer not to come into the council. I've got, predisposition, age, people that I'm with, that even if I bring something back, I have people I have to worry about. I've sent the letter. I'm not comfortable sitting in a room for a couple hours. I know the planning commission, we have a majority of our, I think who are elderly, who may not want to attend. So, I mean, I would like the ability to do a hybrid, virtual and in presence. And definitely we've got to do big social distancing for our public and our staff. I hate to see all our directors. I mean, one of the things I said was, I think directors, if they do not have an item on the agenda, that they either be sitting in their office ready with an answer, and the only directors really necessary in the chambers are those who have items on the agenda.
And I think it's now early to decide it, because I know Miami-Dade County and the League of Cities, based on the number of COVID coming in every day, I think at the end of the month, they're going to be making some decisions. I think it's better for us to wait and see what will be the decision after November 1st, so we can move forward and talk to each council members and come up with a decision. I think it's best that we do that moving forward. And now city manager's report. Hello?
No, we don't have a report. We need to complete the discussion on we have to make a decision.
I said on November 1st, from what I understand, the county mayor and the Miami-Dade League of Cities, based on the cases coming in every day, they're going to make some adjustment for the county. And instead of making a decision right now, I would prefer that we wait for the report on the 1st, so we know exactly how to move forward. But right now, I'm not willing to come up to council meeting with everybody on their own.
All right, sir.
We need to make a decision today about how.
We're not going to make a decision today.
Okay, sir, that's fine. That's fine. You don't have to make a decision, but I have to let you know, if you don't make a decision tonight and the county doesn't act, the next meeting will be in person with everyone here, because we will not have made the findings to do that. We will not have made the findings to do the virtual meeting. Just as long as you understand that.
Before you set up the agenda and you make the publication, we're going to have the solution for you.
So you can't, you have to make that decision as a body. You can't make that decision as a body unless you meet. So after November 1st, this expires.
We're calling an emergency meeting. We're not going to do it.
If you don't call an emergency meeting before November 1st, sir, you will be meeting in person to have that emergency meeting.
Why is that?
Because it expires on the 1st.
I understand. You understand? You don't have a report, Madam Manager?
No, I don't have a report, but do you want to meet in person in an emergency meeting to make a decision?
Thank you very much, and let's understand.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
May I ask a question, please?
Yes.
Okay, so if I'm understanding correct, Madam City Manager, we have to make a decision before November 1st. Is that what I'm hearing?
That is correct. Or whatever, we don't make a decision before November 1st, we would have to meet in person even if we wanted to make a decision. So the question that we were trying to bring out was to make what we may want to do in case there's no decision there. But whatever we do, we'd either have to call some type of meeting virtually between now and October 31st.
We understand. Okay. Thank you.
So,
1 second.
Mayor?
Yes. Yes.
November 1st is a Sunday. How does that play into it, Mr. City Attorney?
It doesn't, sir. It expires November 1st.
We understand that it expired November 1st.
I'm unavailable November 1st.
November 2nd. But
On November 2nd, you would be meeting in person, sir. If you had a meeting, if any meetings of this council after November 1st, unless you give us some guidance today, make a factual predicate today that it's required that we meet virtually, anytime after November 1st, you will have to meet in person to make any kind of decision after November 1st.
Thank you very much. Yes, Councilwoman Keys.
Could we just go ahead and I'd like to make a motion that we allow virtual meetings for the month of November and give us that, if we do it, whether League of Cities, whether the state, county make a decision, let's give us November to allow us to meet virtually, otherwise we're going to have to meet in person. And I mean, we're spiking. This is not the time to, let down our guard. So I'm going to make a motion that if however you say that, Mr. Attorney, that we just extend our city's virtual meeting for 1 month of the month of November, or even through December 12th for the rest of the year. We've only got 3 meetings left. And then we can see what comes down the line for the beginning of the year.
So I can set
3 weeks, 3 meetings.
The decision to meet virtually was a decision made by the governor. We decided to move it at 2 p.m. That's when it wasn't just our decision to meet virtually. Yes, Councilman Galvin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If I understood what the city attorney said, we have the ability right now to make our own extension for virtual meetings by saying that we still think emergency conditions will exist. Is that right, Mr. Kuzo?
That's correct, sir, yes.
So if we follow Councilwoman Key's lead and continue it through December 12th, then no matter what the governor does, we're still authorized to keep virtual.
Yes, I again, so as I said in my memo, there's 2 things that are going on. In the Florida statute, the Florida statute says that in order to have a public meeting, the quorum must be present. There must be a quorum present. For our city, that means at least 3 of you must be in the room or in the same place for us to have a virtual meeting. The other part of this is Attorney General opinions have said that in order to have a vote, you cannot have virtual votes, but that's an Attorney General opinion. There's nothing in statute, there's nothing in case law. So the safest approach that I proposed is to at least have you 3, if you're gonna do a virtual meeting without the governor's emergency order, then let's have at least 3 council people present. And actually, in talking to one of you, we could go as far as to have 3 of you in your offices, because I believe that if you're all in the building, that satisfies that requirement. The requirement to vote virtually, that you can take action on that, because that's only governed right now by Attorney General opinion. So right now, you all can say, we believe because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we need to continue to vote virtually and make that motion and pass it. And then that'll allow us to have that hybrid virtual meeting. I wouldn't suggest that you go as far as to have the meeting as we're having right now. I think the governor's order covers us and allows us for all of you to be home to do that. I think if we're going to do it on our own, I would prefer that at least 3 be present in the building, and then 2 can stay home, and we can do everything else as long as you make that factual determination.
I'll be wherever you tell me to be as long as it's not November 1st.
So was there a second to Councilwoman Keys' motion?
So I did second it for discussion. So just again, Jeff, just to make sure I understand, we can first, we need to 1, say that we're going to do it virtually, and then 2, 3 of us need to be physically in the building. correct?
Yes.
I'm so very concerned, like, I think the mayor said, like Carol Key says, we're not in the clear yet. And so if we have to be in the building, I would rather that we are each in our offices, each in our offices conducting the meeting virtually. That's what I would say, but I would want to hear how others feel about that.
I agree that it's too early to go back. I agree that, and it's getting worse. I totally agree with that. I don't want to go back. I want to stay virtual, but I don't want to, get stuck with having to call an emergency meeting on November 1st because we didn't do anything right now. So that's.
I would say we stay with just do virtual through the rest of the year, which gives us December. Also, by doing it still early, we're not having staff having to be here after hours. If we decide that the government doesn't want it and we want to at our next meeting say, we can always undo this vote just as easily say, we want to come back and just be with everybody. But if we don't, we will be meeting in person next week. So I think my motion just allow us to meet virtually through the end of the year. See what happens. It can always change month.
I have a motion made by Councilwoman Keys to allow virtual meetings to continue through December 12th. The motion was seconded by Councilwoman Estimate Irving. All in favor?
Question.
Mike?
We don't have the mayor or the vice mayor here right now
to preside over the meeting.
Right. So
the mayor.
We still have a quorum. I get that. Here's my question though: starting at 2 p.m., Councilwoman Keys, or starting at 7 p.m., Councilwoman Keys?
As the manager, I think there's no reason to keep staff overtime to run a meeting.
Yeah,
I don't either time, but
I would respectfully suggest the 2 o'clock time frame. And that's because we do extra work in terms of trying to man the technical. And even with using the support, when the support goes down on our channel and everything, it works better for us if we're during the day for those partners in the technical part. So if something goes wrong in the meetings, we can usually get up much better with our with the technical companies that we use.
So I'm okay with 2 o'clock until December 12th. And then I think once the new year start, whatever else happened for us to go back to our 7 o'clock time. But,
the reason I said through the rest of the year, making a decision for the rest of the boards, there may be a couple boards meeting after December 12th. Maybe on the Wednesday or Thursday, which is why I just said that. Just to cover the rest of the year.
All in favor?
Well, aye.
So to the end of the year.
To the end of the year. Any opposed?
No.
I'm sorry, did somebody say that they were opposed? Okay.
I said no.
All right, so the motion carries 3-1.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
No.
Motion carries with a 3-1 vote. We are adjourned at 5:02.
Thank you.
Night, everyone.
Bye.